Okay guys, so I'm just in the processes of uploading the rest of the videos of my trip to Oxford. I stayed there quite late. I stayed there until about 10 o'clock at night, and then it took another 2 hours to get back home. Round about. So I didn't get back here until, I don't know, sort of 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. So I didn't get back home until about 1 o'clock in the morning. But I was actually contemplating on staying there the night. But I had made, like I said in the videos, it was all spur of the moment thing. I had no plans. I didn't take my credit card with me or anything, so I couldn't book into a hotel or anything. So the thing is that it was warm enough to just walk around or just kip on a bench somewhere, you know what I mean? But in the end I decided I wouldn't. I mean, luckily the thing with those coaches as well is, because I could have travelled back the following day on the ticket that I got. But the good thing about those coaches, the ones that I was using, the Oxford Express, and I think the same company, but there's another one called the Oxford Tube. But anyway, thing is that they run 24/7. Do you know what I mean? So I could have gone back in any time of the day, really. But the thing is that because I've gone late on in the day, I didn't have a lot of time, and like I said, because the battery then on the camera ran out, because I hadn't thought on. Do you know what I mean? I just, like I say, literally spur of the moment thing. So I'm planning on doing another trip there. I'm not sure exactly when yet, but because there's lots of other stuff to see that I didn't get to see. I mean, one of them, for instance, and again because of the lateness of the day that I went, is this place, the castle. They've got a castle there, and I can't remember exactly how much it is to get in, but you know, a couple of quid to get in there and have a good look around there. It looks pretty cool, looks pretty awesome. It's got a massive, in fact I think that's a view. I don't know if you can see that, but apparently, I mean, that's the kind of view that you get from when you get up there. So it looks pretty spectacular, you know what I mean? So get a decent view of the city itself, sort of thing. Anyway, so like I say, I'm planning on going back there at some point. And just one other little thing, and I'm going to flag this up on the next set of videos that I'm just about uploading. I'm going to put, in fact actually in the editing I've just realised I forgot to actually put that on in captions. So I might have to do it via YouTube now. So you won't see it initially. If you watch the video first, you won't see the caption. But you will see that I focus at one point on this ghost tour thing. And whilst I was there, because like I say, it's one of the things I'm also fascinated by, and I really love to get involved in something like that, you know what I mean? There's a chap on here on YouTube, Jeff, a guy called Jeff Young, and he's got a channel, and he's got a team that he goes and does paranormal investigations all around, sort of like the south, I guess, you know, like Thames Estuary and all them sort of places around that sort of general area, but also I think more my end as well, sort of thing. Anyway, the point is that he does all these different investigations and stuff, and anyway, you know, at some point I'd love to be able to join his team if it's ever possible. You know, because I've always wanted to go on one of these investigation things, because I just find it fascinating, absolutely fascinating. Never had any personal experiences myself. Always wanted to be able to experience something, just because I'm, I guess like most human beings, I'm just absolutely curious and fascinated by the whole thing. No idea what it is. You know, I don't claim to say like, no, it's definitely ghosts, or it's definitely spirits, or it's definitely this, or it's definitely that. My personal take on it at the moment, as it stands right at this moment in time, is I have no idea what it is. I believe people genuinely experience stuff, and I believe that there is some genuine phenomena that occurs, but just exactly what it is and what the nature of it is and all that, haven't got a clue. I don't want to pretend to try to understand what it is. But like I say, it'd be really interesting to find out what, you know, or get some kind of experience of it. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyway, so like I say, that's the ghost tour. And when you see me in the video, and I go and look at it, and I'm going like, oh yeah, that looks really intriguing. I might try that later. I actually do. I actually go on the ghost walk. That's another reason why I stayed so late there, because the ghost tour didn't start until 7:30. But then there was a late start anyway, because we had this Chinese lady that she had a bit of an issue. I'm not going to go right into all that, but suffice it to say that it delayed this initial start of the tour, not by a heck of a long time, but you know, about another 5 minutes or so, maybe, possibly. So, and anyway, it did go on a bit longer than it perhaps would have done normally anyway. And there was like, I think it was 8 of us altogether, I think. There was 2 Chinese ladies, there was the American couple, there was the German girl, how many is that? Hang on. 2 Chinese ladies, 2 couple, 5, 6, sorry, 5, me 6, and then there was another, I think it was mother and daughter, so yeah, 8. So it was 8 of us, I thought it was 8. Anyway, it was 8 of us, it was only a small group, like, you know what I mean, so there was 8 of us on this little tour. And the tour lasts for about an hour, hour and a quarter, something like that. I think this went on just a little bit longer than that. But he takes us all around the city, down these little side streets and stuff like this, and it was really interesting. Gives us history. You know, you find out a lot about the history of the place, some of the history of the, what's it, it's over 1,000 years of history in that place. Anyway, like I say, it was just really, really fascinating. We didn't experience anything necessarily. I mean, I must admit, there was one point where, and it was probably a leaf blowing or something, I don't know, but I swear I saw some movement out the corner of my eye at some point when we walked past something, and a light, one of those automatic light things. You know, they've got those things, and the light automatic, security light, isn't it? You know, it automatically turns on if it detects movement. So anyway, and when that came on, I could have swore I saw something out the corner of my eye move, but it was probably the light itself, you know what I mean, and the shadow moved as the light came on. Do you know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure it wasn't anything, but still, you know, that was my only little moment of anything, and as I say, it's probably nothing anyway. But all the same, I really enjoyed it. It was really, really good, really fascinating, and the guide was really, really good. I loved the way he was very animated and very, do you know what I mean? The way he come across, he really sort of almost played the parts of these individual characters that he was talking about, kind of thing. So he brought the whole thing alive, to be quite honest, he really did. And I know that may be a cliche, what's the name you say of people, these guides that take you on tours or whatever. But no, I felt he really did bring it alive, and I really enjoyed it. So anyway, like I say, I meant to put that in the captions on the editing that I've just done, and I completely forgot. I've only just remembered it now. It doesn't matter, I can do it when I upload it. After I've uploaded it to YouTube, I can then edit it from there. I prefer to do it myself, because then it's done and dusted and I don't have to worry about it. Do you know what I mean? And then think about, oh, I'm going to have to, and then like I say, the editing doesn't necessarily go on immediately. Depends on the type of editing you're doing on YouTube. If you're putting something more complex on, like a soundtrack or something like that, it usually takes, well, it doesn't take, again, it doesn't take like forever. It just, you know, 20-30 minutes, whatever, I don't know exactly. I think, again, it depends the length of the video and what exactly editing you're doing on it and so forth. I mean, I think though, actually, now that I think about it, the caption thing, if you're putting captions on, I think it does that almost immediately, so there shouldn't be too much to worry about there, really. Anyway, so I'll do that shortly. And then once they're up, that's it. Now, the other thing as well is, I mentioned in the first video that I put up, I mentioned that there's a couple of other places that I've got designs on, and I'm going to look into just what the viability of those will be in terms of money situation and this, that and the other, because I really want to go to this one particular place. It's somewhere I've always really, really wanted to go to, and in some ways for me it's almost a spiritual thing. You know, some people have got their meccas and some people have got their the Turin, is it not Turin, or where Lords, You know, some people like to go to Lords of the Pilgrimage type thing, or to the Jerusalem thing, you know, where Jesus was supposed to be born in that place or whatever. You know, and some people see these as quite deep spiritual journeys for themselves on a personal level or whatever, blah blah blah. Well, in some ways this is for me, but it's not a Christian site, it's not a Muslim site, it's not a Jewish or any other of the major religions. But in some ways, for me, on a personal level, to some degree, it is a spiritual. There is some sort of a sense of spirituality to it for me, and I'm just talking personally for me. I can't speak for other people. There may be lots of other people out there that feel the same way, but I wouldn't say they're in the vast majority either, necessarily. But like I say, just for me personally, that's how I see going to this particular place. You know, it's difficult really to explain in words. Really is. It's really difficult to explain exactly why I have such a. Because I've not even explored this myself, to be quite honest. It's so personal, so deeply on a deeply personal level, that I've not really explored it within my own self, if you like. You know, I don't know if people really fully sometimes appreciate the fact that, because I think sometimes what it is with human beings, sometimes we're a little bit too anal sometimes as a species, as a race. We're just a little bit too anal in terms of, like, we think that we're so clever, and we are, you know, I mean, not to detract from the fact that we've made some amazing achievements and strides and things we've created and so forth and what have you. But the thing is, we tend to think that because we've created these things, that somehow that makes us so absolutely unique and completely so, you know, different from everything else around us, and we're somehow separate from nature and from the laws of nature and from the laws of the universe, if you like. Do you know what I mean? That we're somehow so different from it that we can somehow separate and elevate ourselves above it in some way. And the thing is that when you think about it, see, sometimes we use this stuff, our intellect, and the thing is, we've got that grey matter there, and that grey matter, in terms of evolutionary terms, is relatively new to our species. You know what I mean? It's a relatively new part of our brain that we've only had, you know, in a couple of about 1 million years or something. I'm not a paleontologist, so I can't remember exactly or say exactly. But you know, we've not, in terms of evolution and the way evolutionary things work, we've not had that part of our brain for a very long time. So it's, in some ways, it's still quite new to us in a sense, and therefore, you know, the potential of it and its capabilities and so forth, and maybe we're only just scratching the surface of what the possibilities may or may not be. So the thing is, for me, that when I speak about exploring within myself this spiritual journey, if you like, whatever you want to call it, I'm not just talking in terms of exploring it intellectually. Do you know what I mean? I'm not just talking about exploring it with just my brain power, you know. I'm talking about exploring it on a deep level as a human being, as a human entity, with everything that makes me up as a human being, with all my frailties, with all my everything, every essence of me, you know, that goes up to make me. Explore it with that. So even exploring it with my body, if you know, that might not make very much sense to people, but the thing is, the human body, something I feel I'm kind of starting to grasp a little bit about myself. And I like to say, I can only speak for me, because I'm just one entity that exists in this body and my experiences, and I can only relate then those experiences from my limited experience of that, if you see what I mean. So it's like I can't talk for Joe Bloggs next to me or Jane Bloggs down the road or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I can only express it in the, you know, it's coloured by my own experiences. So I express something, I use words, that obviously those words have been taught to me and I've learned through reading those words and so forth and what have you sort of thing, and I then reinterpret those words back from the experiences that I have. And I don't know if I'm making myself very clear here, and to be perfectly honest, I'm only exploring this as a new theory. So you're getting a fantastic experience here, actually. You're getting a really unique experience here, to be quite honest, because normally I don't have a lot of people to talk to. I'm on my own a lot of the time. So I don't get to have really deep philosophical conversations. I love having deep philosophical conversations. I love having discussions with people about life, the universe and everything. I love doing that, but I don't get the opportunity to do it that often. And the only other person, obviously, or the only person I have is myself. So sometimes I'll explore it with myself. It's the only person I can explore it with. And sometimes I'll do it out loud, verbally, like I'm doing now. Regardless of whether anybody, thinks I'm bonkers for doing so, whatever. My dad used to say that the only time it's a sign of madness if you're talking to yourself is if you answer yourself back. Well, maybe I am mad then. Anyway, but the thing is that when I'm talking about this spiritual side of things, and when I'm talking about in terms of exploring it not just with my mind but with my body, I'm talking about the sense that like our human bodies, our bodies are also have memory as well, in terms of if you're a kid and something sort of happens, like you get bit by a dog or something or whatever, your body will retain that memory, believe it or not just your mind and not just your brain, but your body itself will remember that. It's a bit like when your antibodies, you get something come in, some disease or something, German measles or something or whatever, when you're a kid, and the body then gets its defences up, it attacks those, and then it builds an immune system, and that immune system is, in some ways, a memory. So if that disease then reappears at some point and tries to re-attack you, or tries to get, your immune system is ready and waiting to re-attack you, because it'll remember, that's blah blah blah, right, antibodies, and off they go, sort of thing. Now, okay, I've simplified it, and again, I'm not pretending to be some sort of medical expert here, and I know all the what's names. I might, this is just my little postulations. Yeah, these are just little postulations of things that I think I've got some limited knowledge on, but obviously I might be wildly wrong about lots of other things. And I'm just exploring stuff, you know what I mean? I'm just exploring. So the thing is that, like I said, with the human body, it has its own memory, do you know what I mean? And in terms of feelings, I mean, when people say, how do you feel? It's not necessarily just about this. When you think about it, it's not, is it? I mean, most of the time when people say, how do you feel? Or somebody, you break up with somebody or something like that, and you say you got your heart broken. Isn't it funny how we always mention about our heart? Now, if you was to ask a heart surgeon what the heart is all about, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't really explore it in the sense of like, well, it's a place where our emotions rest and this, that and the other. They would speak to it very much in an anatomical, very mechanical sense. You know what I mean? It's a pump, it pumps blood from there to there, and it does this, and it pumps everything. They would explain it in a very mechanical, very basic way, sort of thing. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how they view it in that point, you know what I mean? That outside of that, they might have their own personal views on other aspects of it, but as a heart surgeon, that's the way they have to think about it, because obviously they're doing extremely important life-saving stuff for people, so I guess they have to think it in those terms. But anyway, again, I don't want to start diving off into other the point is that for a lot of us, on some level, we always see our heart as the seat of our emotions as well. Do you know what I mean? I mean, again, psychologists and scientists, they will argue, well, all the emotional centres are centred in the brain, and it's a chemical reaction, and blah, 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 blah. Yet, again, I accept that, and I understand that, but I think sometimes there's a heck of a lot more than just all that, yeah? I think that's obviously one component of it, but I think, like I say, I think a bit like, I mean, the ancient Egyptians believed that the heart was actually the intelligent part of the body, and that's why they kept the heart separate. When they did all the thing, they took all the other bits out when they were doing the mummification. they would take the heart and they would place it in a vessel. In fact, if I might be, you know, there might be, because I've seen something recently where there's some mummies they've found, I think, that where the heart was still in place. Anyway, again, I'm not trying to, I don't want to get into the semantics of, you know, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. Like I said, the point is that for me a spiritual journey isn't necessarily a physical one sometimes. Well, yeah, obviously it's physical as well. If you're going to go to Mecca or you're going to go to wherever it might be, you're going to have a pilgrimage to. So there's a, you know, you could say there's a physical element in that. Well, an external component to that. But also a spiritual journey is also within yourself. Do you know what I mean? And the spiritual exploration. And so, like I say, this place that I want to go to, you can see how much it means to me and how much, how deeply I feel about this place. Because the thing is that I've never really explored this, to be quite honest. This literally, as we're talking now, that's why I'm saying just a minute ago, this is really unique for you guys, because you're getting to explore, or you're getting to see the process that I go through sometimes to explore things within my life. And I'm literally exploring it with you right now, right this minute, because I've never really, you know, I've painted pictures of this place. I've seen programs, countless, and documentaries and all the rest of it of this place. As I said at one point in one of the other videos, I got very, very close to going to this place, but we got stopped because we couldn't leave the coach when we got to this place because there was foot and mouth disease, there was an outbreak of foot and mouth disease. So the thing was that we weren't allowed to get off the coach in case it contaminated the livestock that was in that area, sort of thing. So we weren't allowed to go, basically. So I missed an opportunity there. But like I say, I've always wanted to go to this place, and you know, I think there's much more to it than just what it is. I feel like I've almost kind of revealed where I'm thinking of going. I don't know. Some people might be able to guess. Some people might still have no clue as to where I'm talking about. But for me, you know, it is a very, very special place, and somewhere that, I don't know, I feel I need to go to. Yeah, so the thing is that I think what I'm going to do, sorry, see, I'm debating with myself now. The thing is, the reason why I'm umming and ahhing now and hesitating and stuff is because I'm debating with myself as to whether just to tell you where it is I'm going to go, or because I guess I was trying to, I don't know, I was trying to make a sense of anticipation and eagerness and kind of, you know, like when you're watching a TV program or something like that, and you're watching a series or something, and then, you know, maybe it ends on a cliffhanger or something or whatever, and you can't wait for the next episode to find out what happens, kind of thing. I guess I want to try and develop a sort of sense of that, so that at least you guys are really eager for the next episode. Where's Paul going next, like, kind of thing. You know, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Yeah. Anyway, so like I say, I'm useless at keeping secrets anyway. Generally, not very good at doing that. Don't like secrets anyway. Anyway, so the point I'm trying to say here is that I'm kind of debating whether I just tell you where I'm going to or whatever. Because, you see, with holding it back, it makes it difficult for me to express and explain and make clear what I'm trying to say now in this video. Whereas if I just tell you where it is I'm planning on going, then I can explore it better, do you know? Whereas at the moment I'm kind of keeping it in the back, oh, don't mention it, so I'm kind of censoring myself. I think we've now got to the conclusion that Paul's not going to keep this secret for much longer. In fact, I'm going to tell you where I'm going. Now, I don't know if this... So, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. So I don't know if people wish to know or quite like the anticipation or not. So if you don't... I suggest you stop the video now and fast forward a little bit or whatever. or just stop watching the video for now, and just wait until I do where I'm going. Because I'm now about to do the spoiler alert. I'm about to do it now. I'm about to tell you where I'm going to go to Stonehenge. Ta-da! Stonehenge. That's where. And so for me, like I said, for me this is much more of, it's not just about going to a set of big stones that are what's name. For me, this is a much deeper thing to me, to be quite honest. It's almost like I said on a spiritual level for some reason, and like I said, I couldn't exactly explain to you exactly why that is, but there's something very, very fundamental, and I don't know whether it's because I'm an Englishman and Stonehenge is in England, and is it something to do with a heritage, you know, in terms of like, you know, if you trace it, and I don't mean necessarily literally, you know, like I'll find some ancestor that helped build it, do you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying a race memory, if you like, almost. I don't know. I'm just exploring this. I haven't got a clue. I'm just postulating this idea. I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of the reason why I feel, I don't know if connected is the right word either. Maybe connected. Yeah, maybe. But on some level, it's let's say, I've always wanted to go there. I really have, ever since I was a kid. Do you know? I'll tell you, in fact, now that I think about it, there was one particular film. It was made into a TV series, I think, but I think it was a film as well. And we had it on over here. I don't know if you guys or anybody else who's not of this country is watching this, but know of Stonehenge. There was a film, a TV series, Quatermass. Not Quatermass in the Pit, not the original, what's it? This was about 1970s, something like that. TV series, as I remember. Also a film, like I say. I think there's a. I don't know if I'm not sure now. I've got to think about. It's 1970s. I'm talking about. I don't know. What, 10, maybe a little bit younger, maybe a little bit older, but round about that sort of age when it was round. Anyway, it had a massive influence on me, that, because it combined a lot of different elements that fascinate me. It had the sort of outer space, extraterrestrial element in it. It had the thing about the Stonehenge. The Stonehenge became the focal point for quite a big part of this film. There was other things. I think there was a sort of sense of like the hippie movement sort of thing. You know, the world had broken down, social order had broken down, TV programs. These are bits that I can remember of the film. I can't remember it verbatim exactly, but I remember there was something about a TV studio where Quatermass, the scientist guy, and I think who played him? Oh, he's dead now, I'm sure. Sadly, he's no longer with us. The actor, I think it was John Mills. I think it was John. Was it John Mills? I think John Mills played the part of Quatermass. Anyway, so he's invited to this TV studio. The TV studio is surrounded by sort of paramilitary guys, because the whole of social order has broken down. There's no real government anymore. The whole world is falling apart. You know, it's that scenario. It's the end of the world scenario kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's the destruction of mankind and all that sort of carry on and blah 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 blah. Anyway, the thing is that whole film just had such a profound effect on me, and because of the focal point being Stonehenge, and always there's a sense that Stonehenge is much more than just a calendar or whatever. Of course, nobody really knows exactly, all the experts, and nobody really agrees 100%, and some people say, oh, we think it's this, or we think it's that, and blah 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 blah. Who really knows, I guess? And unless you've got a time machine and you can go back and find out just exactly why they built it and what it was all about, I guess we're never really going to know, really. So you can just make assumptions and what have you. So for me, and make your own mind up as to what you think it was for, or what it personally means to you. And for me, I think there is some sort of spiritual element there. As I said to you, I couldn't even begin to fathom what that is. All I know is that I feel some sort of connection there, and for me, it would be a profound thing to go and do, rather than just go for a nice visit, like going to Canterbury, to Oxford, like I did yesterday. You know, that was a nice, pleasant day and trip out and all the rest of it. Whereas this is going to, you know, going to Stonehenge for me is going to be much more of a fundamental thing. And like I said to you, I can't explain it better than that, really. I can't really give you an exact or even a much more succinct reason as to why I feel that way. All I know is that I do, and so I'm looking forward to it on lots of different levels and lots of different reasons, and just to be close to it and near it. I mean, sadly, I don't think these days, because of the monuments protected and so forth, I don't think you can actually go right up to the stones anymore. I think you're within a few hundred yards of it, or whatever it is. I don't know exactly. I think there's a bit of an exclusion zone thing around it. I think that might have changed again since. I have no idea, to be perfectly honest with you. Maybe I'll check it out. But just at least getting near to them, close to them, will be something. I'll be obviously taking the camera and what have you. But do you know, the more I think about it, the more I really, really want to do this. So watch out for that, because that'll be coming up soon. I don't know if it's going to be coming up this month, maybe next month, maybe sometime next month, or the month after that, because obviously I don't get paid next month, sadly, because I didn't do any work this month. So it might be the month after. So what are we, August, September, so it's possibly sometime in October, so it's going to be a lot colder then, of course. So yeah, so possibly sometime in October, the Stonehenge thing, I hope will happen then. In the meantime, like I say, I might try and get back to Oxford. It's not too dear to get there. Like I say, it takes nearly 2 hours, just under 2 hours. It was like I say, I think it took near 2 hours going there during the day, because it was traffic and all the rest of it. But so that was going to be the next one to do that, and there was another place, and you know, for the life of me now it escapes me. There was somewhere else that popped into my head, I think yesterday when I was doing this. Nope, for the life of me it's completely gone for a moment. Right, okay, now I know this has gone on at least half an hour now. Now, I don't know how people feel about I know some people like short videos. I do sometimes. I like short videos as well. Sometimes I get really bored listening to somebody waffling on, you know, and I know sometimes some people actually enjoy my waffling on. So it is what it is. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get something from it. If not, that's okay as well, because, you know, well, I can't really control that, so there's not a lot I can do about that. All I know is, like I say, you see, one of the things with me is I like to be upfront and honest with people. I like being upfront, because the thing is that, like, it's just so much easier, because, you know, lots of complex reasons, but I would really struggle trying to just put fronts up and this, that, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the point is that I get a heck of a lot out of just doing this, rabbiting on to the camera, and that's a lot of the reason. Like I say, maybe not the whole reason, but part of the reason is because I don't get to speak to anybody. Not at the moment, I don't. You know, very well. I mean, obviously when I'm working with John, or sometimes when I'm meeting up with John. John's away for a week anyway. But for the most part, for most of my day, unless it's a shopkeeper and I'm going to buy something in the shop and interact with the shopkeeper, hello, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. You know, that's about as much as I'm getting. Do you know what I mean? And so, for me, again, this is part therapy. It's part, you know, a chance just to waffle on about stuff that I find passionate, or that I'm passionate about, I should say. Stuff that, you know, it's just good to be able to have a good waffle on about stuff, especially stuff that I find, you know, that it's close to my heart, and you know, I enjoy and so forth, and then I'm interested in. Right, I'm definitely going to need to stop it, because, like I say, what was it? 2 hours ago? Okay, Right, cheers. Please subscribe. There are a lot more interesting and better videos than this one. Okay, cheers.